Hello and welcome to Open Door. I'm Vince Robinson, and my very special guest today is the internationally known and revered songstress, recording artist, singer, vocalist, great person I'm going to be doing a show with in a few days, Miss Donnie Lynee. Welcome to Open Door.
Thank you so much, Vince. Thank you for having me.
I have to be transparent with you and let you know, first of all, how excited I am to be able to do this with you again. We did a show like this approximately 2 years ago. I believe it was in March.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long.
It's been 2 years. Right, and I had done this. I chopped all my hair off, and I parted it with it, and you parted with yours somewhere around the same time. So we're kind of kindred spirits in that regard, but you have a completely different look today.
You know you gotta change it up sometimes.
Yes. Well, I just tell you, either way is beautiful, and I'm glad to hear. One of the motivations that I had for doing this show was one, to reconnect with you, because we did spend that time in different places, and you've been through a few things since then.
Oh yeah.
But secondly, just to be able to give folks some perspective on who you are, what you do, and why they need to be listening to your music.
Okay.
So we just talked about your history in Cleveland, and you've been here for most of your life, and you talk about Glenville kind of being your hood. But you are a Cleveland native with Cleveland roots, and I think it comes out in what you do in terms of your experience and as it relates to your music. So talk about your life in Cleveland and how meaningful it's been to you.
Oh wow, well, I've lived on the east side of Cleveland most of my childhood, with my family, my mom, my aunt, my cousins, my siblings. We all grew up together in the same house. So we moved around Cleveland a little bit, but the east side was really where we spent the most time in my childhood. Then I moved away and went to Columbus, but I was only there for, part of my high school years, and then graduating from high school early and deciding to do a little college in Columbus, and stayed there for 2 years and was like, I'm ready to come home. So I came back. Back to Cleveland.
So you finished high school early?
I finished high school a year early because I hated school.
Okay.
I hated school. Oh my goodness. It was not for me.
You hated school, but you must have been good at it if you were able to leave early.
I was okay. I graduated college prep and National Honor Society in a year early. Yeah, I was ready to go. My mother, she was like, you can hate school all you want, but you have to finish. Now, if you want to finish early, you can do that too. And I was like, ooh, that's a great idea. So I went to school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for a year, 12 hours a day in school so I could get out of there. And I was 16 when I decided that, but I was 17 when I graduated. I just told Mom, I can't do this. Sick of these people. Get me out of here.
So let's flash forward a few years and get to today, because on September 24th, which is just a few days away, we're going to do a show at Larchmere Arts, and you have a new EP that you're going to expose the world to. So let's talk about that.
Yes, I have a new EP that is coming out on September the 27th, which will be a Monday. But everyone who's coming to our event on the 24th is actually going to get a copy of the EP before everyone else. They'll be able to hear the EP and have the listening experience with us, but they're going to get a copy of the EP before everyone else has it released online on that following Monday. So folk definitely need to come to the show to be able to experience.
Yeah, I think we really
first.
need to highlight that, because it's just another incentive, and we're not going to talk about the price of the show and all of that because we're not permitted to do that on these airwaves. But we can tell you that you can go to the Larchmere Arts Facebook page, you can go to my Facebook page, you can go to Donnie's Facebook page, and just keep your eyes and ears open for details. It's going to happen at 7 o'clock on September 24th. And 12726 Larchmere Boulevard, right here in the heart of the Larchmere Cultural Arts District. And I'm just looking so forward to playing piano and bass for you, and listening to your voice and sharing what we do with the world, because it's the healing that's necessary right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your musical journey. You just expressed that you moved quite a few different places, and I'm sure there were reasons that you all were moving quite frequently.
Yeah.
And that probably some of your experiences have led you to where you are now and what you express musically. So talk about your musical journey. How did it begin?
My musical journey began at home. My family was really a musical family. My mom sang, my aunt sang, still sings. My uncle, he sings. My grandmother and grandfather, they were singers. And so it's just something that, you know, our family just did. We loved music. And I would grow up listening to my parents playing, you know, all the soul, R&B, and gospel music. Of course, you would get that gospel music on Saturday mornings with BB and CC Winans, and, you know, just a number of musicians that I came to love and revere in my childhood kind of molded me into the artist that I am today. You know, my mother would listen to Donnie Hathaway all the time. I don't know why, but she would. And I grew up listening to Donnie Hathaway, and I just loved the sound of his voice and the musicality that, you know, that they just had back in that time, you know. So I kind of grew up feeling like I was ahead of my time musically. I would sing Aretha Franklin songs. I would sing, you know, all these big soulful songs. That just kind of turned into what I was comfortable doing. And so I've been doing R&B and soul music my whole life. My grandma says that I've been singing since I was 2. I don't remember until I was 4. So I know for sure I was aware of my ability to sing at 4 years old, but my grandma was like, oh baby, you was singing when you was 2 years old. Couldn't hardly even get words out good, but you were singing. So, you know, I just made music really a part of my life, you know, once I became an adult, but it's always been a major part of my life, even from childhood.
Mm-hmm. So I know that you also write music. You know, a lot of the material that you do is your own. When did you connect with your ability to create music and not just sing what other people sang?
I was a teenager. Well, no, let me take that back. I made up songs when I was little. I don't remember them, but I made them up, and they were really good songs. I would sing, you know, from what I remember, I would sing around the house. But when I became a teenager, my mom, she put me in a program down in Columbus, Ohio called Shortstop, and it was for at-risk youth. And there was a woman named Deborah James Tucker, who was sort of the person in charge of the program. She would teach us these songs and teach us this music, and I was in this small community of young people like myself who were creative and needed an outlet and a safe place to be able to express themselves. And so we were at Shortstop for a number of years, and in that process we did a lot of writing, we did open mics. That's where I first was introduced to open mics. So I would do open mics there, we had performances there, and I met people that were in the arts community in Columbus then. Well, those are people I still know today, and they have roots in Cleveland, like Shaka Hasbury, and you know, just so many folks. I can't name everybody because it's just, I'd be sitting here talking all day about everybody. But, you know, having those experiences at Shortstop and the open mics, it was just a breeding ground for creativity. So I started writing back then, and I continue to write all the way until now. I have lots of books at home that are filled with, you know, poems and writing and songs and just everything that kind of gives me an opportunity to be creative. And I'm going to keep writing as long as I can.
Mm-hmm. So how was it that you were connected to this program involving at-risk youth, where there's some circumstances that you were dealing with?
Yeah, it was some circumstances. I was being bullied. In high school, and you know, I figured I would get around people that were like me, and I talked to my mom about it. I'm like, you know, I just feel like I don't fit in at school. I'm this scrawny little, you know, girl, and all the girls are, you know, they are these stat ladies, you know, these girls in high school, and they had acne real bad, and I didn't have the long hair that was at that time in. So I just really was more of a natural girl, and I didn't really have all of that makeup and all that extra stuff. I didn't feel like I fit in. It's like I'm just this creative kid that just wants to, you know, do my thing. And so, you know, at 14 and 15 years old, my mom was like, okay, well, let me put you in this program then. She sought out the program to make sure that I had a safe place to go after school, to make sure that I didn't have to worry about people chasing me, you know, after school to beat me up. Because I did have those experiences. You know, I had a girl at one point chase me down because her boyfriend liked me, and I'm this scrawny, ugly girl, you know, in her opinion, that's trying to take her man. That girl chased me and tortured me. My mom, she was like, I'm not having it. We not about to have you in this community where it's all of this mayhem and foolishness. We're gonna get you in a program that's gonna suit you. That was the best thing ever. Yeah.
Did you see yourself as beautiful back then?
I didn't know. I wasn't really thinking about that. Like, I was more concerned about like my family. My mom, she was ill. She was dealing with fibromyalgia and lupus, and, you know, dealing with the environment around us. I didn't really have time to think about, am I pretty? Am I beautiful? You know, are these things that matter? It didn't really matter to me back then, you know. And I wasn't in front of anybody. I wasn't a performer. I didn't have to be on or anything. So I didn't really know. I knew that the girls treated me different. I knew that when I walked in the bathroom, I would see the girls putting on makeup and, you know, fixing their hair and doing all of this stuff, and they'd look at me and So I knew I was different. I just didn't really subscribe to the whole is this beauty thing, you know. The older I got, I became more aware of why they were doing the things they were doing, because I had a natural beauty then. That it was just something I didn't talk about. We didn't talk about that at home. We talked about books, we talked about school, we talked about, you know, music, we talked about performing. You know, before we moved to Columbus, I was at Cleveland School of Arts. So most of my, you know, childhood experiences were all about creativity and what you can bring from inside you. It wasn't about your appearance.
That's what made you different.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that difference when we come back. You're listening and watching Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest, Donnie Lynee, who will be at Larchmere Arts on Friday, September 24th at 7 p.m. Visit our Facebook pages, Instagram, and all those social media outlets to get information about this very important show that will be coming your way soon. We'll be right back right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, a Brickville Car Community Radio Station, right after this. You're listening to Open Door on 95.9 FM WOVU with Vince Robinson and my guest, Donnie Lynee, who will be appearing at Larchmere Arts on Friday, September 24th at 7 p.m. Again, you can check us out on Facebook and get all the details about this great show that is coming your way. Before we took the break, we were talking about the fact that when you were coming up, you're in Columbus, you've been to the Cleveland School of the Arts, and you have this creative aspect to you. And some of the other girls who were relying on makeup and extensions and all that stuff to look beautiful were hating on you. But you knew something about you was special. And I guess I'm just curious, in that you were in a creative space, what kinds of things were you writing about back then?
Oh, wow. I wrote about my environment. So I wrote about being in poverty. I wrote about not having my biological father in my life. I was adopted, and there was a dynamic there, kind of you don't really speak about the fact that you're adopted. I didn't want to hurt my dad's feelings, to talk about my biological father. And so there were things that I would just write about that feeling, how it feels to be a child, who's watching your mom struggle, and she's trying to provide for us a better life, more opportunities, considering where we were, considering how things were in our lives. She was a hardworking woman, even though she ended up having disabilities, those things really made me look at mom in a way where it was like, I'm gonna do the best I can so that you'll be proud of me, and if the best parts of me are these creative things, then I'm gonna do that. If I can get scholarship money for the way that I write, then I'll do that. And if that makes your life easier, I'll do whatever it is. Being in school and having those struggles, I saw how that stuff affected my mother. She did not like to see her children suffer or go through, these kinds of things with the bullying and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, Mommy, whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do it. And I would write. I just would write about all those experiences. I would write about, being bullied. I would write about just everything.
And something impressive was something that you just mentioned, your concern for your stepfather. The fact that you would want to protect his feelings just based on those circumstances as a child, you having that awareness. And then the second thing was you seeing your mother going through what she was going through. I mean, fibromyalgia is no joke.
It's not a joke.
So for her to do all that she did for you to have an awareness of her suffering and then have a motivation to want to do things to take the weight and the pressure off of her is really exemplary. The things that you were writing, were you sharing them, or were they just something that was therapeutic for you, a way for you to get those things out of yourself so that you could get some relief from the circumstance?
Some of it was, things that I would just keep for myself, but going to the shortstop and them having the open mic for children, teenagers, it was perfect. So I would, take that and like, Mom, I'm going to the shortstop on Friday night because it's the open mic, and I would have my music and my poetry, and I would recite some of those, poems. I think there's some videos out there in
YouTube land.
No, on Facebook land. I might share it on my page.
Okay.
But yeah, Shaka Hasbury, Malik, Willoughby, a few other folks, they were the facilitators of these events for us kids. And I have to say, like, that was probably where it really started for me to realize that I had my own way of performing, my own way of saying and doing things that people, they were like, okay, all right, this little young girl has got something to say. And I really had something to say from that moment. And I've been talking about what's been going on in my life ever since.
Yes. Well, I've had an opportunity to connect with your music, first of all, because we did that show a couple years ago, and so I needed to learn the music to play it, and in the process, I listened to songs over and over and over again, and they became a part of me, which is why it's just so gratifying for me to have this opportunity with you now. And I'm just wondering, when did it happen for you? I mean, you didn't, this is an assumption on my part, but perhaps you didn't grow up thinking someday this is all I'm going to do. You probably had some kind of educational experience where you thought, well, I can do this, or that, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just decided, hey, I'm just going to be a singer and that's it.
Well, you know what? When I was little, I started wanting to be a singer around the time where I knew I could sing. So around 4 and 5 years old, it's like, oh, I love this. I want to sing. we would have family gatherings. They have like a little competition with the kids. Well, not competition, a showcase of the children.
Right.
And we would sing and dance, and they would just give us money for being willing to perform.
And you had that thought, oh, I can get paid for
Oh,
this.
I can get paid for this. I had that thought for real.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I got to do this. I got to be a singer. But life, right? So right out of college, I became a mother. And then my focus shifted to my children. Like, okay, how do I make sure that they have a great upbringing and lots of opportunities to be who they want to be? And so, for a number of years, I didn't perform. I didn't do hardly anything. And then 2014 or 2015, I can't remember what year it was, but I want to say it was 2014, we did a performance called Leap of Faith down at Caribou House. It was my first time being in a major theater. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to do this. I loved it. I loved that experience and that play and what that play meant. The whole premise behind the play was perfect for my life at that time. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and take a leap of faith for my music, for my gift, for my craft. I had been a mother. I had been working in healthcare. I was working for Cleveland Clinic for like 13 years before I left, which was just last year in 2020. I worked for them for 13 years. I felt like, okay, I can do administrative work. I can be an advocate for patients. I can be all of these different things that I've been gifted to do in corporate America. But that's not what fuels my soul. That's not what gets me up in the morning and makes me feel glad that I'm here. In healthcare, I worked in the cancer center, so I saw a lot of death. I saw a lot of people in fear, and it just enhanced my desire to create something to put out to the world that would give, people encouragement, that would make people feel like they weren't the only one going through something, or that they could get through whatever it was that they were going through. That was the type of music that I wanted to make. I wanted to make the music that made people turn it on and say, this is what I'm going through at this moment. Let me just listen to these words, because this is going to encourage and empower me to get up and keep going. That was my mission. And I still feel that way. I still, with my music, want to create a sound that makes people feel encouraged and empowered.
Okay. So then you write a song like God Can, and the message in that song is? That
He can heal you, that He can deliver you. I was going through chronic pain, and I still, have my days. I have moments, I have times where I don't feel my best, but that was probably one of the lowest parts of my life, the lowest times of my life, where I was in so much pain and I didn't know when it was going to end. I remember the doctors rolling me into an OR to have another surgery, and I just was thinking to myself, you know what, God, if you don't wake me back up from this, I'm all right with that. I'm okay with it. And it was around that time where I wrote God Can. And it's like I tossed and turned all night, got on my knees and prayed on it. Something just ain't right. God, I need your hands on me. Stress don't get me down. I can feel such a weight on me. Lord, you gotta work it out, because I can't work it out. You said that you'd be there for me. You promised you would never leave. And so I keep calling for you. God can. He can. And I was healed. My body is a lot different. It's a whole lot better than what it was before. I was struggling to walk. I was struggling to sit in a chair. Like I couldn't sit straight in a chair like I'm sitting now. I would have to lean back to do my work. I remember being in such pain, and it felt like my bones were being crushed. As I walked across the street from the parking garage to my job, I would cry sometimes. Pulling up to work, I would have anxiety. And all of these feelings made me write these songs. Like, I don't want to feel like this. God, you gotta see me. You gotta know that this is what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through. And I just heard that voice say that He can do it. He can do it. God can. He can fix your problem. He can fix your issue. He can, if you believe in him, and it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but over time, things do get better. They really do.
You know, the testimony to that is something that I witnessed earlier today when you had a conversation with someone who was going through something. And at the conclusion of that conversation, you prayed with this person and you encouraged that person to understand that what they're going through, God will bring them through it. So it's not just about something that you sing about. It's not just something that you talk about. It's actually something that you live.
I live it and I believe it. I live it and I believe it. I mean, I've seen some very dark times in my life and did not know how things were going to work out, but I just knew that it would work out, and I knew that God had his hand on me, that it was going to be okay. If I just trusted that, it was going to be all right. And it has been all right. It really has. I mean, I could talk about a number of different things and scenarios over the past few years that felt like, oh my God, these are insurmountable odds. You know, these are, you know, huge problems that I don't see a solution to. Well, God, you do it. I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Let's listen to an excerpt from God Can. You're listening to Open Door on 95.9 FM WOVU. We're gonna be back in a few. We're back, Open Door, with Vince Robinson and my guest, recording artist, singer, and beautiful woman, Donnie Lynee. She'll be performing at Larchmere Arts on September 24th. That's a Friday at 7 p.m. She's also going to introduce to Cleveland something that she's been doing for a while. And you know, I'm going to let folks know about Brightbox. We can talk about that too, because look, this is not just you coming to listen to Donnie. This is you coming to get an advance peek and the music before anybody else. And then on top of that, you're going to get Brightbox. So, I mean, this is like a triple whammy.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't want to miss out on this. Friday, September 24th, 7 p.m., 12726 Larchmere Boulevard. If it sounds like I'm doing a commercial, I am. But I'm doing it for you because I want you to get exactly what we going to get, because we going to be here living it and loving it. All right, so we were talking about your music and the personal aspect of it and your connection with the creator through your music. At some point, you went from someone talking about being a recording artist to becoming a recording artist. Talk about that chapter in your musical journey.
Oh, that was hard. That was a hard chapter. It was a leap of faith. It was certainly something that I had to put my money into it. I'm a strong believer that if it's something that you want to do, you have to make an investment in it. And I was like, okay, I'll make an investment in my music and become a professional recording artist. And I financed my first EP. Lord have mercy. That first one is always like I don't want nobody to hear this or see this. You know, 10 years from now, I say thank you, Lord, for the growth. But yeah, it was a sacrifice to do it. I would drive from Cleveland to Columbus to record because I didn't know many people here in Cleveland who could help me make that a reality, make that EP and not be about themselves and not be about their agenda and not be about something other than the music. I just wanted it to be about
your
the music. My music.
Right.
My music. The songs that I wrote from my soul, you know. So I did that project in 2015. And yeah, I was a professional recording artist. I remember one particular day that stands out to me. It was my EP release, my first EP release. And I sold tickets. I was selling tickets for, not a lot of money, very inexpensive. Because nobody really, I had a lot of friends and I had a lot of people who believed in the music that I was doing, but I didn't have any recordings. So I didn't know what the interest level was going to be. So I didn't make the tickets real expensive. But there was this guy who was having an open mic and he came and he asked me, he said, can you perform at this open mic on such and so day, as the featured artist? And I was like, well, I'm gonna be doing my EP release on that day, so I won't be able to do it. He was like, well, nobody really knows you. So you sure you don't wanna do this feature? I'll give you $50 and, have a nice show. Get you a few drinks and that's that. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. I really believed in myself. I believed in what I was doing. Yes, not a lot of people know me, but I do have a good enough following of family and friends and people who support me that I'm sure that this show is gonna be perfect. Did the show, I sold out and sold all the CDs that I had that night. I made so much money compared to the $50 that was offered to me. I mean, I made hundreds of dollars that night. And, I wasn't afraid of following my dream anymore. I wasn't afraid of being myself. It was like, no matter what you have to say about me or what you believe I can do, I believe in what I can do more than anybody. And so I'm not gonna do your show for $50 and sweat and sing and be stressed out at the end of the night. I'm gonna do my thing with the people that came to see me and support me, and we made good money. That's Shaka right there.
I knew it. Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. But I think it's just so important that you have to believe in yourself, and you can't have a fear of failure, because fear of failure is what prevents careers from being launched. And the music business is such an exploitive business. It's really not a good fit for most musicians, but because everybody is so starved for the attention that they can get, and the notoriety and the lack of understanding about how this is so much business and so little, performance.
Oh my goodness.
You really have to be grounded in the business of the business in order to really be successful. So that $50 offer didn't add up to you.
That $50 offer was the devil. It was all of the principalities trying to get me to not be who I said I was, to not be who I said I wanted to be. It was a test to see how much did I really believe in myself and the things that I was saying that I was gonna do. And when I did it, it was like the lesson that I needed for all eternity. It was, okay, I really do need to believe in me, because when I fully believe in myself, I can do anything.
You can, and you did.
And I did. I've done some great things. I was able to perform in Paris, I think maybe 1 or 2 years after that. And it was the best feeling ever to sing my songs and have people vibing and rocking with me in a whole different country, and I was able to finance that trip through my music business. It was a legitimate business. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna file this with the state of Ohio. I'm gonna be a professional singer from here on out. And that's what I did. I meant it then, and I still mean it now.
So I noticed that you had content that was up on Spotify that you removed it. And
Yes.
I also know that Spotify and other similar platforms basically exploit artists. I mean, you could have somebody like Pharrell who does a song called Happy that they're singing around the world and gets 50 million spins on Spotify, and then he gets maybe $50,000 from all of that.
Yeah.
So talk about your decision to be an independent artist and to be totally responsible for your work.
Whew. Being an independent artist is hard work. It is, because if you don't have a team, then you are the boss, you are the accountant, you are the administrator, the assistant, you're doing everything. You're wearing all the hats, and you're performing, and you're making sure that your musicians are paid, and you're making sure this, and being an independent artist is tough work. It's not for the faint at heart. And you also have to promote yourself and do your marketing, all of these other things. So it's been a journey. It's been lots of learning experiences. It's been a huge learning curve at first. I've got great friends that have shown me the ropes in the live entertainment arena. I've had friends who've shown me the ropes in the business background and making sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's and have your contracts all together. So, you know, being an independent artist has been hard. It's been a challenge, but I'm up for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to those who are successful at it, it's worth it. I mean, you look at someone like Chance the Rapper.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a millionaire now because he believed in himself. You know, and typically what happens as a matter of course in the record business is somebody comes to you with a contract and you all excited because, oh yeah, you believe in me, you want to sell my product, you know, and then you have an advance involved in that, and all the money that you're giving or that they're giving you, you got to give to somebody else to do what needs to be done. And at the end of that particular situation, you like TLC.
Right.
You sold millions of albums and you got
didn't see it.
$50,000 to your name, and so you large, but you ain't.
Right. And that was something that, you know, I definitely took into consideration as well with having my second EP out. Of course, like you said, streaming does not pay. I've made more money on physical copies of that second CD as well as live performances of that music than I ever would have made in streams. There's people who still have that EP now, but you know, things have changed over the years. They don't even have iTunes the same way. It's switched over to Apple Music, and people can't download the music directly to their phones anymore. It's like they force you to have to stream those things. And so, you know, over the last few years, I've been making sure that I have really fun, intimate, inviting experiences for the people who follow me to come and experience that music live, to come and experience this, you know, in a setting that we can share, where I can meet you. And that's what I love about being an independent artist too. I get to decide how much I want to do and what I don't want to do. And so I took down my second EP. There were some things that I wanted to do a different way. I may re-release it at some time. But for the most part, I still get love from it. It is available on SoundCloud. That's the only streaming service that that CD is available on. And so, you know, you can still play it on SoundCloud, but I don't have it on those other sites. And if people want to purchase it and buy it from me directly, they can send me some money directly. That's the best part about being independent. You get your cash straight up. You know, you don't have to wait for anybody else to cut you a check.
Yeah. And I think also it kind of proves the value of your performances. You know, the fact that somebody can witness it live.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear a piano coming through speakers. It's another thing to hear that piano as the sound emanates from those hammers striking the wires within that instrument, and you getting the vibration that happens as a result of that. There's something really therapeutic about that. There's something therapeutic about hearing the sound of your voice as it emanates into the room and not necessarily having a microphone.
Right.
I can remember one time being in Israel and being in a room, and it was probably a room that didn't have a lot of artwork on the walls and stuff like that. It was kind of an empty room, so to speak. But I remember hearing the sound of these three sisters singing, how pure it was, and it just literally sent shivers through me. I got goose pimples from it. It was really kind of the same feeling that I got when I was driving up Desert Highway and I looked over to my left and I saw the Great Pyramid at Giza. The same thing happened, but there's just something about those real experience, not the electronified experience, but the real experience.
Yeah, and I love that real experience. I'm a pretty simple lady, you know, so things like being able to talk to folks who've heard my music or my songs, that stuff really touches me in a way. And so I value that over, you know, streams any day. Of course, I want to be a charting artist, and of course, I would like to be on Billboard or, you know, top 20, top 100. Those are things that you, as a serious artist, you aspire to. But if that doesn't happen, being able to have these interactions with people who say, you know what, that song God Can really gave me some uplifting moments where I felt like I wasn't gonna make it. Like that right there is better than anything.
That's the real validation.
That's the real value.
Okay. We're going to talk about the value of your other business when we come back. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest Donnie Lynee right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, a Burtondale Car Community Radio Station. Back in a few. We are rounding third and heading home on Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest Donnie Lynee, who will be here at Larchmere Arts on Friday, September 24th at 7 p.m., 12726 Larchmere Boulevard. Check us out on social media to get all the deets about this, and you'll be able to take advantage of this fine performance, which will include her EP, the newly to be released, and Brightbox. So, what is Brightbox?
So it's Brightbox CLE. It is a business that was birthed this year during the pandemic. It wasn't a lot of live performing going on for a certain amount of time because the world was kind of still shut down. So I had to figure out, how am I gonna make some extra money to take care of my children? And I had $20 left one day. And I was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with this $20? We gonna eat. And so went to the market. I bought some really good fruit and vegetables and smoked meats and cheeses and jams, and I made a charcuterie board because that's something that I would normally do for my friends and family if we were gathering and getting together. But this was one of those moments that's like, if all I got is this $20, we gonna eat good. And so I made that charcuterie board, and I posted a picture of it on my social media, and everybody was like, oh, we love this, can you make me one? Can you make me one? And then I asked the question, I said, well, would you guys buy this? And so many people said, yeah, absolutely, no problem, I would buy it, I would love to buy that. So the next day, I still had some of that fruit left, I still had a lot of that cheese and that meat left, and I made boxes. And people who said they were gonna buy them the day before, I sold them to them. And so that $20 turned into $100, turned into $1,000, turned into a couple of $1,000s, turned into multiple, opportunities to share that with people and make people feel good. The name Brightbox CLE came from having a bad day. When you down to your last $20 and you're trying to figure out how you're gonna feed these kids and what's gonna happen next, that's not necessarily a great day. And that food and the brightness and the colors definitely gave me a few moments of not really worrying about where I was at financially. But it certainly turned things around for me and my family as well. So in addition to being a singer, songwriter, and performing artist, I am a businesswoman. I'm an entrepreneur. So I have Brightbox CLE, and yeah, we love delivering smiles to people and filling up bellies with healthy, delicious food. And we do grazing tables, charcuterie boxes, charcuterie cups, to-go items, catering, meetings, all that great stuff. And the business is still growing. We've been doing this for 6 months now, and it's just every day growing.
So it's not just local, is it something that you do shipping, or how do folks connect with your business?
So it's local right now. We are working on logistics to be able to ship the items. And that's something that we're hoping by our annual celebration of being in business for 1 year, we'll be able to start shipping items across the country. It's tough to be able to keep the integrity of our product and to have that shipped in a time where shipping is not necessarily solid in our country. There's a lot of breakdowns in logistics across the nation. And so I don't want my customers to get anything that is poor quality. So once we get this all figured out, hopefully by the beginning of 2022, we'll be able to ship these items out to our friends all over the U.S.
Yeah, well, you know what really makes it interesting is that you started a business in a time where a lot of businesses were closing. I mean, you know, the statistics say that 60% of business closures that happened during the quote-unquote pandemic were permanent. So, and I have a certain awareness of things that you've gone through, but you mentioned earlier that you worked for Cleveland Clinic for 13 years, and then you left that situation to pursue another situation, and apparently that situation didn't work out.
No.
So then you had to be creative and come up with another way of providing, so you turned $20, a $20 necessity, into a business that is flourishing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been amazing being able to see, you know, what you can do when you believe in yourself again. I believe that, okay, if folks really want this product that I have, that I'm gonna make it the best product and get it out to as many people as we can so that they can enjoy it and have a bright smile on their faces, you know, because someone thought of them and gave them a charcuterie box, you know, with all of this delicious stuff in there, you know, all these gourmet items. And yeah, I get excited when I start talking about Brightbox CLE.
You're gonna have to break down charcuterie, because, you know, I mean, I'm fairly intelligent. Charcuterie is something that has just entered my realm of consciousness.
Okay.
Because I know you, so you lifting folks with that.
All right.
You know, tell us charcuterie. What's that?
Charcuterie is meat and cheese.
Okay.
That's really what all charcuterie is. It's just the meat and the cheese, the smoked meats like salami and capicola, different things like that. That's all charcuterie is. But the charcuterie industry has expanded and is booming now. I mean, it is a huge industry. You know, when you walk down the grocery store and you got like an aisle with bread, and there's like 5 different rolls of bread that's a half a mile long for bread. Well, that's the charcuterie industry. There's so many people doing it, but you have to find the way that you're gonna do it different. And I was like, okay, well, I'm game, I'm down, let's do it.
So if it's meat and cheese, and I know that there's a high demand for it, because everybody, just about everybody, except those of us like myself who happen to be vegan and proud of it.
Well, you know, charcuterie is meat and cheese, but Brightbox has something for everybody. We do make vegan boxes, we make gluten-free boxes, we make vegetarian boxes, we make boxes for people who love meat and boxes for folks who don't even touch it, who don't even look at it. We also, you know, for our vegan friends who don't eat honey, we make sure that we accommodate those preferences and food allergies. For people who have allergies, we make sure that we don't include certain items. So we have a way to give something to everybody.
Yeah. And it's really important for restaurateurs and those who have food service operations to consider those needs, because right now veganism is picking up momentum and speed in our country, you know, and I mean, everybody's got to eat, and you can't always be at home to fix what you want to fix. So when you're out there, you got to find options.
Absolutely. And I think that that's been the fun part about Brightbox CLE is being able to come up with new ideas when you have a customer that has a different, you know, food preference. You know, I have a lot of fun making those vegan boxes, because then I've got to step outside of what I know, because I know meat and cheese. That's my thing. I love cheese and meat. But for my vegan friends, it's like, okay, what do you like? What kind of, you know, vegan items do you think, you know, are really tasty and good, and do you think that other people would like? Being able to talk to my friends and problem solve and troubleshoot with them about how I can make my next customer happy it's been a great thing. So Uncle Veggie, shout out to Uncle Veggie. His name is Reginald Bowens. He has a business called Uncle Veggies, and he's a vegan, and he has been helping me to figure out how to make my vegan boxes better. And he enjoys the vegan boxes as well. So
we gonna have to meet Mr. Reggie.
yeah. Oh, he's got some mean collard greens. Let me tell you.
Okay. Well, as vegan, you're always looking for other places, other options. So there are folks who have things around here in the Shaker Square area. But you want to venture out to other places and have some variety, when you want to go out to eat. So, it's one thing to go to Applebee's and pray that they didn't put ham in the green beans.
Oh man.
Praying. And when you ask them, well, is it vegan? And they don't know what it is. So to have folks who are conscious, just like you said, to not include honey, because vegans typically don't do honey, even though I make an exception, y'all. I still do honey, but I do organic honey. So, so I bend the rules a little bit, but you ain't gonna catch me eating no Gouda cheese,
right?
or some smoked salami. That ain't gonna happen.
But they do have vegan Gouda. I have learned.
Okay.
They have vegan Gouda. It's not the same as regular Gouda, but it's still pretty tasty.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. So we've established your internationality, because I started the show by saying she's international. She sang in Paris and folks are hearing her music, so she international.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the music thing going, you got Brightbox going. Let's talk about what you see as the future for Donnie.
Oh, the future for Donnie, I have multiple businesses. Brightbox and my music are my primary business, but I do some other things that allow me to continue to help people that are in my sphere of influence. I have so many things that I'm doing to help other business owners and other artists. We have a group called Musical.ly, MUSICLE, which became a nonprofit earlier this year, and so we're working on ways to share what we know, help other artists and performers to take their craft to the next level and do what they are really passionate about doing. And so that's something that we'll continue to be working on. We just opened up another group that includes the men in the music industry in Cleveland, as well as business owners, promoters, venue owners, and etc. So that's something that we're working on as well. And then I'm a mom, so I just want to make sure that my babies are taken care of and they grow up really healthy and strong and being really whole individuals. So that's my other focus. That's a huge focus of mine. And then, just continuing to create, continuing to meet people and trying to be a positive impact in folks' lives and encouraging people everywhere I go. So that's really what I'll be doing, and if the Lord sees fit to put me on a bigger stage and give me a bigger platform, I'm going to use that opportunity to, number one, honor and glorify his name, but then to also share the love that he's given me, to share that nurturing and encouraging part of me with other people that he gave me.
Yes. Well, I can definitively say that you are doing that. And I can also say that, sometimes it's cool to have that national, that international spotlight. Sometimes it's cool that you affect the people that you can affect.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, no matter who sees you, no matter where they see you, you a star.
Thank you.
We all are.
Absolutely.
We have to wake up to the fact that that's who and what we are. And once you do that and you live within the power that exists within you, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Donnie Lynee, it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I'm so looking forward to the performance, and I'm looking forward to the fact that people will be able to have a greater awareness of who you are. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing this show. It's not completely self-serving. I think that people need to know who you are and what you are doing and have a much greater awareness of how they can benefit from who Donnie Lynee is.
Thank you so much, Vince. I am so honored to be here and to be able to share this time with you, just talking about my life. It's not all the time that I get a chance to talk about it. So I appreciate you so much, and thank you for having me. All
right, well, thanks for being here, and thank you for tuning in. Open Door with Vince Robinson, right here on 95.9 FM WOVU. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and make today your best day.